7:13 a.m. Two police cruisers in my driveway, lights flashing, engines humming like a low growl, and the lead cop's hand is already hovering near his belt like I'm about to pull a weapon. I'm barefoot, holding a coffee mug with the Army Corps of Engineers logo on it, standing on the land I bought paid in full 6 months ago. 40 feet back, the HOA president, Deidre Kensington, crosses her arms and smiles behind her oversized sunglasses like she just won a prize. She called 911 and told them there was an armed squatter on her property. Except that squatter was me, and she had no idea I was about to become her landlord. 4 hours earlier, my biggest worry was getting the right drill bit for my workshop. I'm not the guy who goes looking for fights. 20 years in the Army Corps will burn that taste right out of you. I bought 3.2 acres on the edge of Pinewood Estates, Tulsa, planning to build a machine shop and maybe find some peace after my divorce. The place had this massive oak out front, branches creaking like an old ship in the wind. Perfect spot for a new start. When I bought it, that land was outside HOA boundaries. I made sure of it. I had surveys, legal opinions, everything. I wanted nothing to do with the clipboard cult. But 3 weeks after moving in, I get a letter. Official paper smells like toner and arrogance. A $500 fine for unauthorized construction. They're talking about my garage, built decades before the HOA even existed. I emailed the board, attached my survey, my deed, a short note. I'm not in your HOA. Simple. Done. 2 weeks later, Deidre herself shows up. Designer blazer, clipboard in hand, and that voice like a table saw cutting steel. You're setting a bad precedent, Mr. Hollins. We can't have people ignoring community standards. I told her to leave. She didn't. She took photos, muttered something about liens, and stormed off. 3 more letters followed. The fines ballooned. 5,000, then daily penalties. You could smell the entitlement through the paper. One night I caught her on my camera standing outside my fence taking pictures at 10 p.m. No knock, no permission, just pure harassment. I remember sitting on the porch afterward, feeling this mix of rage and shame, wondering if maybe I was the problem. Maybe I'd missed some clause, maybe I was the difficult one. That's what they count on people like her, making you doubt yourself until you fold. Then came the cops. The officer in charge, Sergeant Pacheco, asked for my side. I told him calmly, "Before I say anything, let me show you some paperwork." Went inside, slow, careful, laid my deed, my survey, and the county map right on the hood of his cruiser. The metal was cool from the morning air. He flipped through the pages, radioed dispatch, compared maps on his phone. Deidre stood back, arms crossed, tension vibrating off her like heat off asphalt. After a long silence, he called out, "Ma'am, this is a civil dispute, not trespassing. He's within his property lines." Her face cracked like plaster. Then she tried the tax argument. "I pay your salary," and Pacheco just said flat, "I don't enforce HOA bylaws, ma'am. Hire a lawyer." She peeled out tires, squealing, leaving the smell of burnt rubber and cheap perfume. Pacheco gave me a quiet warning before leaving. "Document everything. She's not done." He was right. That wasn't the end. That was her warm-up. I called a local attorney I knew, Lucia Brennan, sharp as barbed wire. She checked the county records. "Garrett," she said, "they illegally redrew their boundaries 6 months ago, pulled your land in without notice." "That's fraud." Fraud. The word hit like caffeine. For the first time I had something solid. She sent a cease and desist. Deidre responded with a threat to foreclose. By then my neighbor Reuben had joined me. Old machinist, tough as nails. He showed up with beer one night, said, "Brother, they're bleeding you to make you quit." Seen it before. That was when I realized it wasn't just me. There were others. A young couple down the street fined $8,000 for a swing set. An elderly widow hit with $12,000 in late fees. It wasn't enforcement. It was a shakedown. Lucia started digging. What she found made me sick. $140,000 missing from HOA funds, payments to Deidre's own LLC for consulting. She was running a side business through the HOA, racketeering with a neighborhood sign out front. I ignored her next letters. Then she escalated. Fake social media posts, inspectors showing up to take photos, stickers slapped on my truck, code violation. My cameras caught one of her guys climbing my trash cans to look over my fence. I uploaded everything time-stamped, documented, logged. Every email, every visit, every petty act. That's when Lucia found the real smoking gun: 3 foreclosed homes, all bought at auction by Deidre's company and her board members' families. Half price, flipped for profit, a clean surgical pattern, fine foreclose flip. Lucia's voice shook when she called. "Garrett, this isn't just harassment. This is federal, RICO-level fraud." I remember sitting there in my workshop that night, the hum of my lathe filling the silence, thinking I could walk away. Sell move somewhere without neighbors or boards or pastel blazers. No one would blame me. I was tired mentally, physically, financially drained. But I looked at that oak tree outside, the one I'd thought would bring me peace, and realized peace means nothing if you let bullies own it. Then everything flipped. The HOA itself went into foreclosure. Turns out they'd taken a $1.2 million loan years ago to finish their amenities and stopped paying. The bank scheduled an auction. Lucia called, voice full of mischief. "You realize what that means, right? Whoever buys the common property owns the HOA's land, possibly its leverage." I said, "Lucia, what if that buyer was me?" So I did it. I raised $875,000, my savings, a bridge loan from my brother Caleb, and a GoFundMe that blew up overnight. Turns out people hate HOA bullies. Within 72 hours, I had donations pouring in from strangers across the country, veterans, retirees, families who'd lost homes to fines. People wanted to see someone fight back. The day of the auction, Deidre showed up. No makeup, no smile, just desperation. "Please," she said, voice trembling, "don't do this. Let someone neutral buy it." I asked, "Like one of your shell companies?" She whispered, "You don't understand. If you do this, I lose everything." I looked her straight in the eye. "You should have thought about that before you turned this neighborhood into your ATM." When the gavel dropped, sold to bidder 7, I became the legal owner of Pinewood Estates' common property. In one bid, I bought the land under her throne. A week later, Deidre tried one last trick, an emergency injunction to stop me. Her lawyer, a greasy man named Trimble, argued it was unfair. The judge wasn't impressed. "Denied," she said. "See you at the dissolution hearing." Deidre left the courtroom, pale, shaking. I knew she'd go down swinging, but she was already falling. At the hearing, the room was packed. Homeowners, reporters, cameras. Lucia stood at our table, calm, precise. She presented every record, every missing dollar, every fake lien. Deidre sat across from me, trembling behind dark glasses. When her lawyer fumbled through excuses, the judge asked, "Do you have any evidence refuting this silence?" Deidre jumped up, shouting, "This is all lies. He's stealing my community." The judge warned her to sit. She didn't. The door opened at the back. Detective Morrison stepped in, flanked by an officer. He handed the judge a folder. "Miss Kensington," the judge said evenly, "there's an active warrant for your arrest. Detective, proceed. You could have heard a pin drop." Morrison's voice was calm, professional. "Deidre Kensington, you're under arrest for embezzlement, fraud, and perjury." Deidre's face went white. "You can't. I have rights," she shouted, mascara streaking. The officer cuffed her. The metallic click echoed through the courtroom like a full stop at the end of a long, ugly sentence. She screamed my name. "You did this? You ruined me." I didn't respond. The officer led her away. Door closed. Silence. The judge cleared her throat. "Having reviewed the evidence, this court finds Pinewood Estates HOA insolvent and engaged in systematic fraud. The petition for dissolution is granted." Gavel down. It was over. Just like that. No applause, not yet. Just the collective exhale of 127 families finally waking from a nightmare. I stood there, the smell of coffee and paper thick in the air, feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Not victory, not revenge, just relief. She was gone. The fear was gone. Outside, reporters swarmed. "Mr. Hollins." "How does it feel?" one asked. I looked at the courthouse steps, sunlight bouncing off the limestone. "It feels," I said, "like justice finally showed up to the suburbs." That was it. That's where it ended. No parade, no party, Just a quiet, clean end, the way every bully's story should finish. And if there's one thing I learned from all of it, it's this. Document everything, stand your ground, and never let petty tyrants decide what peace means to you.